Externally, Russia is benefiting from the higher oil prices, weaker sanctions. But internally, it is dealing with this heightened pressure, disruption, and tightening control. There's only a limit to that. These two dynamics are not separate. They are part of the whole system, the same system. Russia gains economically, but largely because of instability elsewhere. It doesn't dictate the term. Simultaneously, its structural constraints remain and worsen. It has limited spare capacity, only a few 100,000 barrels of oil per day, meaning it cannot fully capitalize on supply shortages. Its overall infrastructure is degraded and investment is constrained. Production is expected to decline over time, so even the potential gains come with heightened risks. If oil prices actually raise too far, demand could collapse, accelerating the global shift away from fossil fuels. If the crisis drags on, OPEC cohesion could fragment, turning Russia's partners into competitors. And any windfall is likely to be diverted towards military spending rather than long-term investment or alleviating the concern of average Russians. Altogether, put together, and then considering the geopolitical position, it makes it much more complicated for strategic decision-making. China may deepen energy ties, particularly through the too slow, too fast. Couple this together, as well as the geopolitical considerations, and it makes it complex for Moscow. China may deepen energy ties, potentially through the Power Siberia 2, but on its own terms. Europe may soften energy, that is basically with reluctance and critically for a temporary basis. Russia's inability to support its allies continues to erode its credibility further. So what looks like a recovery is, in reality, something much narrower, a temporary alignment of external conditions that benefit, but not a transformation of underlying strength. And so once considered together, as well as the geopolitical considerations, it's a difficult set of decisions for Moscow. China may deepen energy ties, such as through the Power Siberia 2, but that's very much on its own terms. And while Europe may be forced to soften on energy, that would be reluctantly and critically temporarily. Russia's inability to support allies erodes its own credibility. And so what looks like a recovery in reality is something much narrower, a temporary alignment of beneficial factors, but not ones that Russia can control. And ultimately, the direction still not in its favor. So with all this in mind, should we say the rather, I think, simplistic, is Putin willing? Well, in the narrow sense, he's winning, but it's relative. Okay, this is too fast now. We need to slow down. So coupled together, should we say in a rather simplistic way, is Putin winning? Well, in a narrow sense, he could be, but it's all relative. Russia is earning more from energy. The sanctions are diluted, but you always have to zoom out and compile different elements together, which is what is the purpose of this channel. And it's a very different picture when you do that, because what we're actually looking at is a system that is no longer driving events, merely reacting to them. Russia benefits from a crisis that it did not create, but it means that profiting from instability it can't control. And it is stabilizing internally, not because of pressure easing, but because control is tightening. And that has a limited lifespan. It's a sign of a system adapting to constraints, but also a growing level of how far it can go before that system potentially fundamentally cracks. It isn't shaping the world in a way that it wants to do so.